I wonder what's going on with that other poll I ran on Twitter. Should have ended at this point. Alright, let's see here. Are you kidding me? It wasn't a bad dream? My God. God damn it. I can't believe I'm doing this. Who the hell am I kidding? It was bound to happen one way or another. Oh, didn't see you there. Well, you caught me at a pretty inconvenient time, but since you're here and I'm dressed for work, might as well go all the way. Throughout the 2 years I've been a YouTuber, I have, in passing, commented about a certain episode of a cartoon that angers me like nothing else could. And despite me making these offhand remarks here and there, I never really took the time to articulate these thoughts and feelings in a video. That's because, while I've said that I meant to get around to it, part of me doesn't want to. I've held off on giving you the content I promised out of fear for my sanity. Yes, this episode invokes only the most powerful and potent personal perceptions from me. And talking about it at length? Nay, exposing myself to it for prolonged periods of time could potentially be my undoing. But, for God is my witness, I shan't procrastinate any longer. It is my job, my self-appointed duty, to shoulder this responsibility. I am not called the one and only C.R. Martin for nothing. This is my burden to bear, and bear it I shall. The episode of focus for today is The Amazing World of Gumball's The Hero, an episode I ostensibly loathe, an episode that lingers in the very depths of animated poison. As such, I will not be pulling my punches. The gloves are officially off, and there will be no mercy for the wicked! We start with the kids of Elmore Junior High having lunch in the playground and engaging in some idle chatter. The topic of interest is fathers, and what makes theirs in particular special.
Well, my dad can beat rock.
Well, that's nothing. My dad's so big that 3 mountain climbers got lost in his belly button.
Your dad should get that checked then, Hector. Gumball and Darwin are asked what makes their dad special. As expected, they can't think of a single damn thing. Nope, scratch that. They do come up with one.
Is sweating without moving a skill?
How about putting on weight? He's awesome at that.
He must be good at something.
I guess he's only good at being embarrassing.
Not sure how that's a skill, but I appreciate the honesty.
Mother, I feel so sorry for this man's children.
Oh, don't worry, honey. It's very unlikely anyone like that would have children.
Took the juice on one of his cupcakes.
Ha! What's he doing? Using cement instead of flour?
Unbeknownst to the brothers, Richard has been overhearing the conversation behind the chain link fence, and he walks away absolutely heartbroken. As for the cupcakes he brought with him, they fall out of their paper bag, confirming Gumball's suspicion that yes, they were baked with cement instead of flour. Later that day, Gumball and Darwin arrive at home, where Nicole and Anais are upset at them yet again. Nothing out of the ordinary. I'm guessing that the boys are gonna get lectured or be yelled at, or perhaps they'll all sit down and hash out the problem at hand like any other family. I'll deal. They've been shown to be a close-knit family, so some more of these moments would be nice to see.
Can we just get the dessert? What is wrong with you?
You know very well what's wrong.
What's going on? Why is dinner raw? You know very well why dinner is raw.
Wait, what?
We're both very sorry for what we've done.
So you do know what you've done?
No!
Then how can you apologize for something you don't even know about?
I don't know!
What happened to that zany, wacky, dysfunctional as hell but still down-to-earth and loving family that I enjoy watching? Where are they? Because I don't see them. So it turns out that Nicole and Anais are angry at the boys because of the comments they made about Richard in the school playground. Which, when you think about it, they have no right to be angry about. Not when they aren't any better themselves and don't show Richard respect either. But who am I to judge? I'm just some guy who sees hypocrisy at its most obvious. Or when it's being shoved in his face.
Look, Dad overheard what you said in the playground.
Oh, that!
And he's been hiding in the shed ever since.
Well, at least you can't embarrass us in there.
Incoming!
You throw one more cupcake, and I am going to force myself through my monitor and slap the shit out of you, young lady!
Right, that's it. You clearly don't appreciate your parents, so until you apologize to your father, we won't be doing anything else for you. Let's see how long you last.
Challenge accepted.
Again. What? What the living fuck? No, your eyes or your screen are not fucking with you. You just saw Nicole, a short-fused, stern, strict, but dutiful, doting, loving, and caring mother, deny her two sons the most basic and necessary of necessities based on remarks about their father made in passing, without any real intent of directly causing him undue heartache. Remarks that I must emphasize are true, and under normal circumstances, she would have made herself. I'd hate to think about what sort of repercussions anyone in this family will face if they so much as put their elbows on the dinner table. At this rate, Gumball and Darwin might as well be kicked out of the house at the drop of a hat. That's the other kicker about this scene. How suddenly the situation escalated and how disproportionate the punishment itself is. Major turning points such as this are best placed at the end of the second act of a plot, where the conflict would have come full circle. It shouldn't be where the conflict begins, as it would set a very unsettling tone and a payoff that isn't worthwhile in the slightest. Even then, condemnation like the one Nicole puts her sons through would still be far too cruel. For God's sakes, this is child abuse, plain and simple. And the worst part is, there's nothing in this scene that glamorizes the tension. Not that child or domestic abuse could be glamorized at all. No, this was a point-for-point portrayal of a very real issue that has invariably broken many families' lives. So after that, catastrophe. I can't imagine this episode getting any better. What follows is Gumball and Darwin not being able to bathe or eat, and they end up looking like utter garbage. Is that supposed to be a metaphor for how this episode is turning out to be? Oh, and Anais is just a bundle of joy here.
Oh, I'm sorry, but as Mom pays the water bill and you two are insensitive brats, I think you'll need to shower somewhere else.
As Mom pays the water bill, I think you should shower somewhere else.
You can say what you like, but you're not going to annoy me.
You can say what you like, but you're not going to...
My nose!
Ow, my toes!
Well, the feeling's mutual, you snot-nosed little shit. These scenes are just uncomfortable. They serve no other purpose but to embellish the suffering that the brothers have to endure. And it's miserable. I don't want to see this. No one does.
Poor little thing.
Play all this up for a laugh all you want, episode. I still don't find you funny, and I never will. To your credit though, which I begrudgingly give you, you did make us feel sorry for Gumball and Darwin. We are 100% on their side from here on out. There's no way you could fuck this up for yourself now, is there? So congratulations, you managed to elicit sympathy out of me. It only cost you, I don't know, one of the show's strongest points? Well done you good-for-nothing contemptuous sack of— Stop. Stop. Patience, Martin. Patience. You'll get your chance. For now, tough it out. Gumball and Darwin concede and decide to make amends with their father. After being kicked off of the school bus.
Boys, I'm gonna have to ask you to get off the bus.
Why?
Cause the suspension can't take it anymore.
Okay, I guess I'm ready now.
Strange. You'd think that their breaking point would be their malnutrition, their lack of bathing, and the possible infections they've contracted from their deprivation of basic needs. At the tool shed in the backyard, they find Richard as bumbling as always, which causes Gumball to rescind his intentions.
I'm sorry. I know I said I would. I can't do this.
Glad to know being an asshole runs in the family. Darwin stays behind and listens in on his dad singing a song about how his little ones are not so little anymore.
I remember when you were still little, my little ones. I was the giant who picked you up when you fell down.
For all intents and purposes, the song is pretty good. I can get into the mellow acoustic guitar, and Dan Russell's voice cracking as he sings is a nice bit of subtle detail to give this song its bittersweet feeling. It's the only good thing I can say about this episode, yet it somehow makes me hate the episode even more. I mean, wow! Talk about being emotionally manipulative. Not the song. Like I said, the song is good, but the placement of the song in this episode. So, you start off on the wrong foot with a disproportionate punishment on the two main characters, and now you're going with this contrived as fuck trash? How low can you sink? This episode has no sense of escalation. It throws the song smack dab in the middle despite not earning the emotion it wants to achieve. It's a heinous little tactic that tries to cover up the awful first 3 minutes of the episode. And if I didn't know any better, I'd say that this is setting up Gumball and Darwin to be the bad guys in the story, which they're not. I hope I didn't jinx that. It'd make sense if we also had Richard bettering himself as a dad over the course of this episode, but nope. Nope. Who cares about pacing? That shit don't matter. Tear-jerking moment. Cry, damn you! The episode begs in a futile effort. I need a breather. This episode is just brutal. I can't sit through this whole thing in one go. I'll be right back. Okay, I've calmed down a bit. Or tried to. Hey, give me some credit. I'm putting up with this episode as best as I can, and it ain't the easiest thing to do. Now, where was I? Moved by his father's song, Darwin sets out to make things right between them. We cut to the junkyard later that night in the pouring rain. Gumball is excited about a surprise that Darwin promised him. I don't know why the hell he's expecting anything good to happen to him, and I think it's kinda bratty, but there is no surprise. It was all just a ruse.
This surprise is going to be better than a cake. I'm giving you reconciliation with your father.
Oh, man. Should have known it was something lame like that. Nobody invites people to eat cake in a junkyard.
Darwin's plan is quite straightforward. He and Gumball get caught in the crane, Richard arrives in the scene to make a daring rescue, and Darwin uses a remote control to deactivate the crane, and everything will be peachy keen.
Alright, let's get started. Oh, great job! What are we gonna do now?
Way to think things through, dude. With the crane turned on and no means of turning it off, Richard's gonna have to save the kids for real. Speaking of which, he arrives at the nick of time. But in typical Richard fashion, he crashes the car into the control panel.
Here we go. We're doomed.
Don't worry, have some faith in him.
Boys, where are you?
Up here.
How am I supposed to get up there?
Oh, I don't know. How about you get us down using that ladder right there?
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm going to hate Gumball for the remainder of this episode, am I? Richard scrambles across the junkyard to find a way to get to his sons. It takes a little longer than normal. Still gets points for trying, though.
Wow, really thought that one through, didn't ya?
Oh.
What is wrong with you? Don't you know people have feelings? He's trying to help us.
Well, great job he's doing so far.
Gumball, what the hell? Is this really the time to be a massive dick cheese? I don't think so. And these scathing remarks do not stop, by the way.
You can encourage a clam to read all you want, but that's not going to get it into college. People have limits, and Dad reached his own a long time ago.
If you got through this without wanting to punch someone, you are a saint. In the meantime, Richard is still struggling to get up there, and Gumball is still a huge douchebag. Fortunately, there's just enough junk nearby for him to climb up and reach the boys. Of course, there's a little bit of shenanigans thrown in for good measure, or a desperate attempt for the episode to save face.
Yeah, great Great job! Do you want us to save you before you save us? Saving us in style, huh?
Okay, fuck you, Gumball. Fuck you. No, I'm serious. I'm fucking fed up with your bullshit. I have been on your side this entire episode. I gave you the benefit of the doubt. I believe that you brought up a valid point about your father. I felt sorry for you because no child out there should ever have to go through what you went through. But now, you've systematically thrown that all away. And for what? This misguided notion of wanting to be right? Even when your life is in peril? Even when your father is doing his damnedest to save you? No! No! Fuck you! You've lost all sympathy from me. I'm not gonna wish for you to die, but I hope this event scars you enough that you'll think twice, 3 times, 100 times before being a high and mighty asshole again. The cable holding the crane slowly breaks apart, and the 3 soon take a plunge. Richard and Darwin land safely on an old mattress, but Gumball is not so lucky, as he's barely standing on a ladder just above a crusher. Through Richard's encouragement, Gumball traverses the ladder safely and jumps into his father's arms.
Gumball, you have to get up!
I can't!
Come on, son! You can do it!
I'm coming down! Don't let me down!
I won't!
And the 3 of them come together for a hug in an emotional moment that, let's face it, this episode doesn't deserve.
Please stop crying, Dad! You'll always be my hero!
It's not that! It's just you're digging your claws into my nipple!
Everything's all hunky-dory with the Wattersons now. Isn't that nice?
Oh, I'm glad you guys made up. Come on, dinner's ready.
That was the Amazing World of Gumball's The Hero. Bite me! It was god-awful! Never in my years of watching cartoons have I felt a stronger urge to break something or hurt someone. So much hypocrisy, so much manipulation, so much unpleasantness, all in the space of 11 minutes. No amount of paper bags on this planet can hold the vomit that this episode has induced in me. I'm that disgusted. I cannot believe how unlikable the characters are here. There is no justifying what Nicole and Anais did in this episode, especially the former. And that excuse that Gumball is an episodic show whose stories are mostly disconnected from one another does not fly here. In every episode, despite their differences, there's still consistency with how the characters are portrayed. The way Nicole and Anais are shown here is not just different from who they normally are, but it actively defies who they normally are. And when you combine this with past episodes like The Job, where Nicole stopped her husband from amounting to so much more than what he is, albeit for a good reason, it doesn't paint a flattering picture of her. The only likable characters here were Richard and Darwin, but it's only by default. Much of Richard's appeal in this episode is because of the sympathy he elicits from us. He may have taken an active role in the 3rd act, but that is minuscule compared to how pitiable he is. And Darwin is legitimately guilt-ridden that he matures and also takes an active role in resolving the conflict as well. The last and most unfortunate character to earn my ire is Gumball himself. His transition from sympathetic to unlikable happened out of a misguided attempt to push the plot forward and to have someone be in the wrong, despite him bringing up legitimate points about his father at the beginning in an innocuous manner. The moment the episode moved to the junkyard, Gumball was no longer reasonable and quite honestly was very petty, even for his standards. This sudden shift in characterization and the emotional turnabout in the middle, as I said, are present so that the setup of the episode will be glossed over or outright ignored. It's safe to say that it didn't work. If anything, it's insulting that the episode tried to gloss its setup over. Significant events like Gumball and Darwin being denied the basic essentials, which I should reiterate is child abuse, cannot be cast to the sidelines just like that, especially when it's the catalyst that kicks the plot off. And again, this is really stretching it. It's still too cruel and realistic a matter that it can't feasibly be played for comedy, not by a lighthearted show like this. And all this is done to what end? Seeing our beloved characters in a scenario that's commonplace in our society? That's not what I came to this show for. No, 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 no. There's an episode from another animated show that has equally grave implications. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called It's a Wishful Life from the Fairly Odd Parents. Remember that one? That episode implied that average kids would somehow make the world a better place if they wished they were never born. A horrifying thought to instill into such a young demographic. Which of these two episodes is worse regarding their respective implications? It's a Wishful Life or The Hero? I'm gonna say The Hero. Here's the thing. With It's a Wishful Life, it had the benefit of its entirety being played out in a fantastical manner. For crying out loud, it states that there's a place specifically for kids who made the world better by wishing they were never born, which is more or less the show's equivalent of hell. And the outcome of Timmy's wish, as shown by Jorgen, is far too out there to be given any sort of credence. Would you really believe that Francis and Vicky are the assholes they are only because of Timmy? This doesn't mitigate the implications, don't get me wrong, but presentation does factor into this comparison. That being said, The Hero's depiction of child and domestic abuse hits home so much more than It's a Wishful Life's depiction of average childhood and perceived assisted suicide. Gumball is as much a proxy for children as Timmy Turner, and with the bond he shares with his family, this means that the Wattersons are a collective proxy for families as well, despite Gumball the show having an arguably more surreal concept than the Fairly Odd Parents. Combine that intrinsic grounding with the grounded display of child and domestic abuse I just mentioned, this is naturally a bigger recipe for disaster than what It's a Wishful Life ever aspired to be. I have never said this about any bad episode I've reviewed in the past, but The Hero is destructive. It is toxic. I wouldn't be surprised if a child walked away from watching this episode with fearful or even traumatic thoughts. How in anyone's right mind would this be acceptable? Way to insinuate that all family conflict should be escalated to this magnitude. Way to insinuate that you can brush the consequences off of your shoulder as if they were nothing more but a speck of dirt. Way to go, and screw you. Screw you very much. A lot of you have been waiting for this review, and some of you might have been waiting for this moment in particular. Well, wait no longer, because The Hero is a 0.5 out of 5. And I begrudgingly give that half a point in the first place, for the bare minimum of Richard's default likability and his well-done song, both of which are undermined by everything else in this catastrophe. It's just one big, heaping serving of turd with a glass of piss on the side. Awful. 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 And I swear to God, this episode should just disappear from the face of the planet. No other person out there, not even my worst of enemies, should ever have to be subject to the suffering of watching this episode. I can't believe more people aren't angry at this. I can't believe they aren't seeing this for the monstrosity it is. This episode's entire existence is an insult and a disgrace, and I would love nothing more than to destroy it. Matter of fact, that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm going to disintegrate this episode and everything associated with it. I will make this thing disappear without a trace. Now, time to put an end to this.
You might want to hold it right there.
Where am I?
Hey.
You're the mysterious Mr. Enter.
Yep, that would be me.
What are you doing here?
I'm here to stage a bit of an intervention.
An intervention? What for?
Rumor has it that you have strong feelings towards a particular episode of a cartoon. And by the looks of it right now, those rumors seem to be true.
How did you know that?
It's not a very large community, C.R. Martin. Word travels around these parts faster than you think it does.
Oh. I'm sorry you have to see me like this.
Alright, let's stop it with the formalities.
Right. Excuse me, it's just... I never thought I'd actually meet you like this. Or at all.
I understand.
So you know about my anger, about my hatred for... that episode.
Quite a few do, and I have a feeling that they might not forget.
I see.
I know a thing or two about what you're going through right now.
Yeah, I can tell. You've had a pretty rough first few years doing what you do. I can only imagine what a mess that must have been. I'm so sorry.
It's alright, it's not something that I'm proud of, but it's not something that I'll hide either. Anger is a powerful emotion. It's perfectly alright to be angry sometimes, necessary even. It can help us discern right from wrong, good from bad, but the important thing to know is where and how we channel this anger. And most importantly, when.
But I just despise this episode so much. I hate what it stands for, what it's conveying. I hate everything about it.
Including the show that it came from.
What? No. Never. Not in a million years.
That's my point. Being a critic is entertaining and therapeutic. And I'll admit, it's very cathartic to cut loose and yell and get angry. It's very relieving to give something bad the ass-kicking that it deserves. But the last thing you want to do is make your status an excuse to become an even worse person. You need to know how far is too far. Don't just be a critic to destroy what you hate. Do it to build up what you love as well.
How can I do that?
That is entirely up to you.
Alright, I'll try.
That's the spirit. Now I must be on my way. Until next time.
Enter wait. Thank you.
Good luck out there.
Damn. Did that really just happen? Huh. That's something you don't see every day. Oh hey, you're still here. To tell you the truth, I'm kinda glad you haven't left yet, though I wouldn't have blamed you if you did. And don't worry, I'm in a better state of mind now. So, without further ado, let me conclude this review properly. The Hero is a terrible episode of the Amazing World of Gumball. Bar none, the worst the show has to offer. But that's not to say that there's only pain and misery to be had with it. I said during my revised top 10 Gumball episodes list that the choices undid the damage that the Hero left in its wake. And while I stand by that point, conversely, I also accept that the Hero paved the way for the choices. As unforgivable as Nicole was in this episode, it played a part in bringing the Watterson family relationship full circle. It was a huge lump of clay for the writers to transform into a fine work of art. It doesn't make it any less terrible, but I won't deny that some good came out of it. And yes, I said that with a straight face. And in the end, I'm not gonna let a single bad episode sully my enjoyment of Gumball. It remains one of my absolute favorite animated series of all time, but expecting it to be perfect all the time wouldn't be fair to it. I've always been a fan, and I'm always going to be a fan, flaws and all. There's one more thing I want to say before wrapping this video up, and call it a PSA or whatever, but I find it pertinent to the context of this review. Domestic violence is one of the most troublesome issues in our society, encompassing numerous areas of the world. The physical and psychological ramifications behind this issue has led to irreversible damage to many people's well-being, from their livelihood, to their health, to their financial standings. This is one topic where correlation equals causation, as there have been more than one case of homelessness caused by violent acts in a domestic setting. Victims of domestic violence are predominantly women, who in the worst case scenario flee their homes and the increasing physical and emotional toll on them. Children are the second most affected, whether through being recipients of the violence themselves or being forced to flee their homes along with the abused parent. It takes a strong will to escape such toxic relations, but it doesn't have to be done alone. In the description for this video, I'm going to leave several hotlines that you can contact and websites that you can visit for your consideration if you're a domestic violence victim or if the topic has piqued your interest and you want to educate yourself. Remember, there are people out there who are willing to help, and all it takes is to reach out. And one final piece of advice for anyone who wants to get into the realm of critique or any professional endeavor: never forget why you've gone down this path. Never forget who you are. And above all, don't lose sight of your humanity. It's a pitfall that's all too easy to fall into. If we can continue doing what we love while still regaining our humanity, then we'll be all the better as individuals and one collective society because of it. And that's it for this lengthy video. I'm the one and only C.R. Martin, and thank you all for watching. See you all in 2019. Ciao for now.